Welcome to TSI September 2019 staff meeting. Several members of our school team, including Principal Mary Weston, Assistant Principal Jovita Dennis, Dean of Students Ebony Williams, and myself, attended a training in early August. Our school will be doing some strategic work this school year to support the growth of our students with disabilities. Today, I will be sharing with you what it means to be identified as a TSI school and what that means specifically for Oakdale. Here are some questions that we will answer during today's session. What is TSI? Why does it matter? What does it mean for our school? What is TSI? 99 Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools are currently identified as being in Targeted Support and Improvement Status, or TSI, as identified by the North Carolina Department of Public Schools. This status, defined in the North Carolina Every Child Succeeds Act, indicates that schools are placed in TSI status due to an F grade in the performance of one or more subgroups. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools has 97 TSI schools with an F grade in the Students with Disabilities subgroup. This subgroup is in need of support and improvement. Schools retain this status for a 3-year period from 2019 to 2020 through 2021 to 2022, regardless of any progress made. The EC department has collaborated with the Departments of Teaching and Learning and the School Improvement Department, as well as federal programs, and plans have been developed for support during the 2019-2020 school year. The EC Central Office will be developing, with school input, a 3-year plan to identify what the support will look like throughout the remainder of the status period. The EC department has coordinated with the Kelly Price in federal programs. Any funding associated with TSI must be spent by early this fall per requirements from the federal government. So, PD that we will discuss later will be heavily front-loaded primarily during the months of September and October. The district asked principals to identify 4 members to serve as TSI leaders in our school and to carry the work forward this school year. The team includes representation from all groups so that this can be a school-wide effort. As mentioned earlier, the TSI team attended 2 days of PD during the beginning of August and will continue to serve as liaison to the other staff members in the building. Let's look at our school's trending data. This data shows Oakdale's last 3-year trend of annual student performance on end-of-grade assessments in reading and math. Here are some questions to consider. What do you notice about our school's math and reading subgroup data? Also, think about what other data would you want to consider for review? Why does it matter? Unfortunately, the Students with Disabilities subgroup has historically underperformed. However, we know that students with disabilities make up a diverse body of students with very unique needs. In Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, there are 13,962 students with disabilities. This makes up 9.2% of the district's population. At Oakdale, we have 77 students with disabilities, which makes up 13% of our enrollment. Of the 9.2% Charlotte-Mecklenburg school students with disabilities, 36.8% have a learning disability. 17.4% have other health impairments, and 11.2% are speech-language impaired. Based on our Oakdale's most recent child count, our students with disabilities population includes 21.1% with a learning disability, 15.5% with other health impairments, and 11.3% with speech-language impairments. Students who are classified with such primary disabilities typically do not present with cognitive impairments. So how are these students who have high incident disabilities achieving? What are some methods that we can put in place to ensure that each individual student grows? We need to examine each student individually. Are our students who have specific learning disabilities in reading failing in math? Are our students who have communication disorders making grade level proficiency requirements in academic areas such as reading and math? Let's work together to ensure that all students are served as individuals. Let's work together to make sure that all students are a priority. We want to ensure that our practices align with our district's foundational vision and anchoring documents. What matters most? Our strategic plan outlines specific actions that call us to teach students with disabilities differently. A few key actions include using a guaranteed viable curriculum for all students, rigorous tasks and work for all students, using proven interventions and putting grade level texts at the center of teaching in every classroom. The CMS way, our vision, mission, and beliefs directs us to improve instruction for students with disabilities with two key statements. We believe equity means that every student has different needs and that their needs must be met no matter where they are from or which school they attend. And we believe that we must guarantee every student high expectations and high quality resources. We are ready. Our definition of college and career ready outlines skills and abilities for all of our students. We will frame our TSI work within these guiding documents and our school improvement plan and NC STAR. Results-driven accountability, the Office of Special Education Programs has revised its accountability system to shift the balance from a system primarily focused on compliance to one that puts more emphasis on results. Local education agencies such as Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools complete self-assessments and improvement plans to address this shift and focus on outcomes. Additionally, the Every Student Succeed Act focuses on outcomes and identifies students with disabilities, SWD, as a subgroup. In the spring of 2017, there was a Supreme Court decision which raised the standards for students with disabilities, moving away from the mere more than de minimis or minimum standard. The Supreme Court judges unanimously ruled a school must offer an individualized education program that is reasonably calculated to enable a child to make progress appropriate in light of the child's circumstances. The court additionally emphasized the requirement that every child should have the chance to meet challenging objectives. Emphasis was also focused on meaningful inclusion of parents. As you noted from data that was shared about the eligibility areas of students at our school, students with disabilities are not a singular category. While the overall proficiency of this district is approximately 6 out of every 10 students are on grade level, when we look at the proficiency of students with disabilities, proficiency drops to approximately 2 out of every 10 students. However, 8 out of every 10 students with a disability may have an average or above average cognitive ability. In order to be more specific on how we can improve practice with students with disabilities, we are making 3 big bets based on research. Look at the blue circle, the widest reaching circle. If we improve our mindset of inclusion for students with disabilities, they will grow. This pertains to every aspect of school, from field trips to extracurricular. Include students with disabilities affirm them, respect them, and expect them to succeed. Consider full inclusion for special area classes with our students in our extensions program. Create a Best Buddies program. Consider whether students in a separate setting can ride a regular school bus. Include all in clubs. Look at the green circle. Research shows that allowing students with disabilities to access and fully engage with core instruction that is aligned to grade level standards results in greater academic gains. The orange circle represents specially designed instruction. Students with disabilities do need additional individualized instruction to address their learning needs. This is also referred to as SDI. This instruction, like general education, must be high quality and evidence-based in order to be effective. Now that I have shared some information with you, let's take a few minutes to digest it. Take 2 minutes to turn and talk to your neighbor, reflecting on these questions. What have you learned about TSI? What do you think about the reasons why we should tackle this work? Which reasons resonate with you? Have you struggled with reaching all students? Here is a link to a video in which Shelley Moore talks innovatively about transforming inclusive education. She shares an excellent analogy on how to effectively teach to diversity. Let's take a few moments to reflect on the video. Think about students in your classroom or students that you serve. How do you create an inclusive environment? Let's even make this more personal. Are there students in my classes or students that I serve who may feel excluded? How am I intentionally creating an inclusive environment? What does TSI mean for our school? First, what is TSI? Remember, it stands for Targeted Support and Improvement. You know that our schools all get letter grades. And starting this past school year, schools were also given letter grades for each subgroup of at least 30 students. Our students with disabilities subgroup received an F letter grade based on the data points of that subgroup on last year's scores. We will be collaborating as a school to improve the outcomes of students with disabilities. Our school district has set out requirements for schools in TSI status. First, TSI leaders had to attend a 2-day PD as mentioned earlier. Then there is additional training that those of us who went to the training will have to attend. There are also specially designed instruction opportunities that all EC teachers in our building are required to attend. There will also be a few general education teachers who will attend co-teaching training. We will have content that we have to deliver monthly to staff. This will align with the North Carolina indicators, and this is our first one. There are virtual modules that our entire certified staff will have to complete. We will talk about that further in a few minutes. The EC department has expressed interest in ongoing collaboration with us as this work moves forward. They will be conducting fidelity checks and supporting us in coaching around working with our students with disabilities. All certified staff, including administrators, general education, exceptional children, English language learners, special areas, etc., will be required to complete 3 modules by the IRIS Center. The IRIS Center, which is supported by the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education and located at Vanderbilt University's Peabody College, offers high-quality online training supporting the increased use of evidence-based practices that translate research to practice for ongoing professional development. This enables educators to have the knowledge and skills that they need to improve outcomes for all students, especially struggling learners and those with disabilities. There is one module that is required for everyone. The title of the module is IEPs, Developing High Quality Individualized Programs. Our TSI leaders at Oakdale will determine which other 2 modules participants will complete. Our staff will need to complete the modules by April the 30th, 2020. I will be responsible for ensuring completion of the modules by all staff and submitting required documentation. Again, this documentation is required because of the federal funding used for all other professional development. On the screen below, please click on the Oakdale registration IRIS sign-up directions. I have created a cheat sheet for you. Remember, this is a required module. Please register before you leave your session today and verify your registration on the sign-in sheet. Thank you. The first way to change our practice is to change our expectations. Let's stop thinking of students with disabilities as a singular category of students who cannot. Instead, let's expect all of our students to succeed. Give all of your students grade level content. The same expectations for all lifts the expectations of all subgroups, especially students with disabilities. The purpose of programs for exceptional children is to accelerate student learning. Thank you for putting your passion behind this purpose.